want to talk to you about equitable distribution and property division. Now, some states in this country are called community property states, but in Connecticut, we're an equitable distribution state. We're going to talk about what that means and also what it doesn't mean. Equitable distribution does not necessarily mean equal. It does mean fair. Now, I coach sports, both youth sports and high school football, and one of my idols is Coach John Wooden, a famous basketball coach at UCLA back in the 60s and 70s, highly regarded. And he used to tell his team that I'm going to treat each of you fairly, but that doesn't mean I'm going to treat each of you the same. And that concept kind of applies to what we're talking about with equitable distribution. Now, there's three different phases or stages with respect to equitable distribution. The first that a court would go through. The first is classification. Is this property? And if it is property, is it property that could be divided? For example, property, obviously, if it's a house, it doesn't even matter whose title it's in or whose name it is, by the way. But if it's a home, that's obviously property. And even if it was bought before the marriage, if it was owned during the marriage, it's marital property, which can be divided. Other things are a little less clear, like if somebody is the beneficiary on a trust, that may not be property that's within the reach under the statute. So anyway, there's classification, and the next phase or stage is the valuation. Some things are straightforward. What does your bank statement say? What does your brokerage statement say? Other things are require a little bit more work, like if it's a home, do we need to get the home appraised? And then some things are even more dicey and more challenging. For example, a closely held business, particularly one that operates in a lot of cash, that may require some sort of expert to do a valuation to determine what the business is, what the value of that business is. So the classification, the valuation, then finally the court decides how to equitably divide the property so that each side gets what the court thinks is fair. And this is also part of the negotiation process as well. And it's important to understand that courts have broad authority to decide what's fair. And they will be upheld on appeal, provided that they reference that they considered all the statutory factors. And the statutory factors that you can see listed there on the slide include such things as the length of the marriage, the causes for the dissolution of the marriage, the age and health of the parties and the like, as well as the amount and sources of income and the prospects for the spouse to earn future income, and etc. So as long as the court considers all those statutory factors, it's going to be upheld for them on appeal unless there's other mistakes the court may have made during trial. Now, we should say this, and that is, in practice in Connecticut, for the most part, the court and the parties, when we're negotiating, start off with the proposition that the marital property is going to be divided 50-50 as the starting proposition. Okay? There's exceptions to that. For example, student loans, all right? That debt might follow the person who incurred the loans. If somebody inherited something and that wasn't commingled, like cash that was commingled, but it was a discernible piece of property, that might be carved out. May not be, but there are arguments to carve those things out. But that being said, cases aren't always divided 50-50. And again, you look to the statutory factors. But before you look at those statutory factors that we listed on the slide and fall in love with the ones that support your argument, maybe don't pay as much attention to the ones that don't support your argument, talk to us. Because again, the starting position is 50-50. Then we'll talk to you about whether your case is something different or not. In all events, we hope that you found that this video helpful, as well as the other free information that we have on our website. Consider meeting with us so we can talk to you about how we can help you find peace through strength.